What is up, humans of the cardboard? Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are doing a top 5 video. I'm really excited for this one. I did a lot of research for this one. It was really fun to do. Today we are looking at the top 5 poopy, garbage, stinky doo-doo archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Or decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! That still have a solid core or skeleton, however you want to phrase it. There, because we see all these new decks, and when they end up being good, you look at stuff like Tri-Brigade, where we're at the point where we're like, how do we even hit Tri-Brigade on the ban list? Because the core is so strong, it's so solid, it's going to mesh with other things, it works pure, like the core is just so solid, and it really works. Well, Konami wasn't always as good at making archetypes as they are with Tri-Brigade, and Salamangreat's another one, and Strikers and stuff like that. But when you go back, there are archetypes that are so awfully garbage right now, but they still have a decent core. And I guess you could word this in your own way and say, oh, this is a top 5 horrible decks that still have potential kind of video. And yeah, I guess it kind of is that. But specifically today, I'm looking for decks with a solid core. I want the skeleton, all right? When you're making Frankenstein, all right, it's easy to start with the skeleton, the torso, and add the limbs, all right? The limbs are workable, but the torso is what we're looking for today. So I've got 5 archetypes here. Before we jump into it, I do want to throw a quick shout out to Geargia. They were the 6th archetype I almost threw in here. They have some interesting cards, but I just think like they were like a really good deck at one point. So like, it's kind of hard to be like, Rash deck is garbage. It's garbage now, sure, power creep, but of course it still has a core if it was like really good at one point. So yeah, let's just jump into this thing. No more introductory. Number 5 on the list is Ninjas. This is a really cool archetype. I love this archetype personally, but I really do feel like the core is really solid. We just need like a handful of cards to like pretty much like unpower creep this deck, because this deck actually has some stuff. It's just been power creep. Even when it got its supports not too long ago. You have the new Link Monster. This card's insane. It's just once per turn. You get a free Ninjutsu Wear card from the deck, by the way. This sets it straight to the field, so cannot be ashed. Also, he protects himself from being attacked or being targeted by card effects while he points to anything. Really solid monster. We all know Hanzo. When he's normal summoned, he adds a Ninjutsu Wear card. When he's special summoned or flip summoned, he adds a Ninja Monster. By the way, neither of these effects are still not once per turn. They're insane. So if we have ways to like somewhat loop this guy, then that would be amazing. We also got Yellow Ninja. I'll be honest, this card kind of sucks, but like the biggest thing ninjas are missing, especially now that we want to like lean on the new Link Monster, because it is just like a free +1 every turn. We just want extenders. So that's all this guy is. He's just like an in archetype, has ninja in the name, Goblinberg essentially. This guy, again, reveal the Ninjutsu Wear card in hand, special him from hand. He's just an extender. Then you have the field spells, actually kind of nice. Gives you solid protection and the ability to recur a little bit. So definitely a nice card that you can add to your end board for extra. Oh my god, for extra like sturdiness. Then you have stuff like Notebook, helping you trade ninjas for Ninjutsu Wear cards. Again, I'm looking for engine, and this helps you. This helps you take one part of your engine if you don't need it and get to another part. That's what I like to see. And then you have like decent eruptions already. You have like Super Transformation and Shadow Sealing. You already have some of this payoff. This card's just to banish an opponent's monster. This card helps you summon any dragon, dinosaur, or sea serpent that's like high level straight out of the deck, which is pretty good. As we get more and more generic good cards like that, that will become a little more relevant. But yeah, really solid. Next up here, number 4, we're moving to Battery Men. I've always loved Battery Men. Their designs are so cool and fun to me. I always thought they were cute / cool, and I don't know. And they're the only like Thunder archetype of note prior to Thunder Dragon. Anyway, they actually have some good cards. Battery Man 9-volt is Stratos. When he's summoned, add a Battery Man monster from deck to hand, and if you do, this card's attack and defense become doubled. And then on the end phase, you destroy this card. But ideally, if this deck were to get more support, you won't be ending on this card, so it's not that big of a deal. But he is still a Stratos for you. Very cool. We also got Solar not that long ago, a couple of years ago, around the time we got Thunder Dragons, and this card is like Armageddon Knight for Thunders. On normal special summon, send any Thunder. Also, if any Thunder monster is summoned while he's on the field, you just get an extra token to link off with. So I know we got like the Link 2 generic like Thunder Link 2 before, but I want to see something like actually good that takes like 2 Thunder monsters, or maybe a good Battery Man Link 2 that gives you like a ton of payoff. And they need like a win condition. They're definitely missing a win condition for sure, but they have some nice starters. They have a boss monster like this that more so is like damage than anything. Like you can have a removal effect, but it's kind of shaky, to be honest. But still a good extender nonetheless. You also have stuff like Battery Man Charger. This is just non-once per turn monster reborn for Battery Men. This card lets you add 2 level 4 lore Battery Men from a grave back to hand. That's a straight up +1, and it's a quick play, which is very cool as well. Then you have Portable Battery Pack. This card summons 2 Battery Men straight from grave in attack position. So it's called, in archetype, called the Haunted, that summons 2. And that's very, very interesting because you never know what the support is going to be. I mean, like, what if the support is just a Battery Man that says, like, when this card is summoned while you control a Battery Man, like, pop a card. And you can reborn 2, and maybe it's not once per turn. They both trigger and go pop, pop. So, like, something like that could be really spicy. I don't know, but like still, I'm keeping it in mind. So a solid core overall. You got a couple good starters, you got a couple good extenders. They just need a win condition. They really don't have one. Their win condition is like put damage on the board and swing for a game. So they definitely need a lot more there, but they do combine with Thunder Dragon potentially. So that's something else to definitely keep in mind, is like, depending on the kind of cards they get, like Thunder Dragon is always there to be a crutch for them. So yeah, I like it a lot. Next up is number 3. We are moving to Magnet Warriors. You guys know I love Magnet Warriors. I've talked about it all the time on the channel over the last couple of years. But I think they have a nice core, actually, though. When they got that structure deck, I know the structure deck wasn't meta, but like that's because they had no win condition. I still think as an engine, as a skeleton, it's actually really solid. So all of the Electromagnet Warriors have the same second effect. And it's a quick effect on the opponent's turn where they contribute themselves as cost to special summon a level 4 Magnet Warrior straight out of the deck. And so what's cool is like none of the Electromagnet Warriors are level 4. So they don't summon each other. They summon either the old Vanillas or the new one, Delta, which is kind of like an Armageddon Knight. It helps you dump another Magnet Warrior. So it helps you kind of fill your graveyard up. But imagine just like tomorrow they just came over and like, oh, here's a level 4 Magnet Warrior that when it's summoned, like, banishes a card. So you can just like quick effect summon this guy on the opponent's turn and get hella banishes. Well, that actually makes the deck do something. That is something you can repeat over and over again, and it tributes for cost, so you dodge removal effects, and it can be very awkward for certain decks to work around. Not to mention, Alpha searches any level 8 Magnet Warrior, so if we just got a new Magnet Warrior that was level 8, boom, we're in business. Beta searches any level 4 lore Magnet Warrior, so again, any new level 4 lore Magnet Warriors, boom, Beta's searching them. And then Gamma pulls any level 4 lore Magnet Warrior straight out of the hand. So he becomes like a Goblinberg that also has that quick effect on the opponent's turn. Like, honestly, really, really solid as far as those 3 monster goes. Now, the fusion isn't very good. I think to make use of a good fusion monster in 2021, you either need like a busted fusion card that like breaks the laws of fusion summoning. I think of like Mask Change. I think of like Shaddoll Fusion, Schism, stuff like that, right? Or you need to be like Prank Kids and just have like an obscenely easy way to just search your fusion card as part of your combo, which this deck doesn't really appear to do either of. So I don't think the boss monster is bad. I just think the deck isn't really built to summon it. And maybe that would be something if they got support. So the last thing I'd show off here is probably the new spell we got. It's pretty cool. You can just like, if you just control a Magnet Warrior whose level is 4 or lower, you can summon a level 4 lower Magnet Warrior straight out of the deck with a different name. And then it gives protection to all Magnet and Magnet Warriors for the rest of the turn. There's no restriction whatsoever. So still really, really solid. That's a nice extender, to be honest. Like if you just went normal summon Beta, Beta gets negated, you just go, oh, okay, we'll go Induction. Induction summon Gamma out of the deck, and then Gamma summons Alpha out of your hand. And you still got all 3 on the field. They all have their quick effects live, and if we got new level 4s, we might be able to do some cool tagging out into the other level 4s and getting shit going. So I really think the engine is actually solid. They just need a better win condition and some better utility pieces, level 4s, to pair with those second effects. And if they got them, I think this deck could actually be somewhat interesting. So yeah, Magnet Warriors, number 3. Moving to number 2, though, we've got Roids. And I guarantee you did not expect to see this on here because, listen, I like Cyrus as a character. I really do. I feel for him, you know, kind of that shy guy that kind of like sucks at Yu-Gi-Oh! And then he finds his way, he gets his confidence there. But I always loved the design of his archetype, and I was kind of bummed that they never really got great support, but they actually do have some low-key interesting cards that if they really rounded out the archetype, could actually be very interesting. So first and foremost, we have Dragonroid. This card just came out in 2021 in Animation Chronicle for the OCG. We should hopefully be getting this imported pretty soon, maybe something like Brothers of Legend. But anyway, long story short, this card has 2 effects. You can discard it from the hand to do one of 2 things. You can either search any non-wind Roid monster. Okay, Rhoda, nice. Or you can make it so that your opponent, it's like you can make it like Magical Meltdown essentially. So your opponent can't like negate a fusion summon or a card that fusion summons, or they can't respond to the summon of like a fusion monster. So very, very cool. So either way, both those effects could be very strong, but really nice card for the archetype nonetheless. Next up, we have Mixeroid. This is the other main deck monster that really, I think, matters. It's kind of like Lone Fire Blossom. It tributes any machine, itself or another one, to special summon any non-wind Roid monster straight from the deck. Well, okay. Very cool. Also, he can pay half your life points to banish any number of machines from grave, to special summon a Roid fusion with the same level as the number of monsters you banished. Get out of here. Yeah, get out of here, you nub. And then you just cheat out a Roid fusion monster with the same level as the number you banished. Now, you got to pay life points for it, but still, that could actually be really strong as an extender. I mean, it's Lone Fire, and then it gets you a free like fusion cheat monster out of the extra deck. We don't have any great fusion monsters to make use of just yet, but that could be something that if they got a big wave of support, a couple good fusions, a couple more cards to really round up the archetype, get easily like some starters and stuff, we might be in there like swimwear. Next up is a field spell. This card is like Dragonic Diagram. Targets another card you control, destroys it, then adds a Roid card from deck to hand. So it searches the entire Roid archetype, which is very cool. And then it's like during damage calculation, when you're in Roid monster battles, you can Foolish Burial a Roid from deck to grave to swap the attack and defense of your monster that's battling. So really, really cool. That's in damage calculation. It just gets you an extra Foolish Burial, fills your graveyard up for Mixeroid, or just if there's graveyard effects with new support, that would be something helpful as well, just to get those free dumps. Really solid card, to be honest, for consistency. And the last card I want to bring up here is a Mergeroid Call. This card is actually insane. This card's insane. This is the best in-archetype counter trap I've ever seen in my entire life. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated while you control a Roid fusion monster, negate the activation, then send all cards with the same name as that card from the activating player's deck and extra deck to the graveyard. Also, you can banish this card from grave to target a Roid monster in grave and add it back to the hand. So, not only is this an Omni Negate, but then it forces your opponent to send every copy of the card you negated to the grave. So if it's an integral piece of their strategy, boom, to grave. You know, you play against strikers, you hit Kagari, you hit Shizuku, boom. They just lost all copies for the rest of the duel unless they play Hercules base, which they probably don't because it's 2021. And then afterwards, this card just gets you a free add back for the next turn. Sure, I'll add Mixeroid back to hand. I'll add Dragonroid back to hand. Cool, I'll just, you know, Rhoda or Lone Fire Blossom. Great. Insane. I think this is one of the best like in-archetype counter traps we've ever seen. It is a Roid card, so it's searchable off the field spell, and I think these 4 cards really give a nice skeleton to Roids that I didn't really realize until I went and read some of these cards. So I really hope Konami gives this deck a look sooner rather than later to get them to a point where they can like actually build some limbs onto this skeleton and make things happen. It'd be so awesome. And the last one, and number 1 deck I have here, as far as poo-poo archetypes that have a really solid core, it's Amazonas. They've got some really strong pieces. So first and foremost, you have Princess. When she's normal or special summon, she can add any Amazonas spell or trap from deck to hand. Also, when she declares an attack, you can send any other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to summon an Amazonas monster straight from the deck. That is very good. So she pulls stuff out of the deck and she's a Rhoda at the same time, or Stratos at the same time. Yes, please. Her name also counts as Amazonas Queen to make her work with certain other effects as well. So very, very good card. I mean, that's about as amazing as a Stratos that a deck can hope for, essentially. Next up is Amazonas Baby Tiger. This is just a really good extender. If it's in hand or grave, and you control an Amazonas monster, or an Amazonas monster is normal or special summon, sorry, it's a trigger effect to just summon itself. It also gains stats, but it's so tiny I don't expect that to matter anyway. But he doesn't even banish himself when he leaves the field. So he's just coming back every single turn as an extender. That's why I'd really want to see like a good Link 2 for Amazonas, because then like this guy would just like immediately be like the best extender in the deck, because it's just coming back every turn, helping you get into the Link 2 over and over again. I'd want to see something like Double Dragon Lords, but for Amazonas. It's an interruption and it gets you a resource on summon, and you could just play like a control game with that because you have stuff like Baby Tiger that's like so easy to get going. Really cool. For the amazing spell that they have is Amazonas Call. This card says take an Amazonas card from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to grave. Also, during the main phase, you can banish this card from grave to target an Amazonas you control. It can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each, but nothing else you control can attack. So that can help you just clear over boards, just make something a Conductor Tyrant and just go bang, 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 bang. And worst case scenario, I mean, it's not even worst case scenario, it's just good. Like, it's either Foolish Burial or Rhoda, and it's a quick play. So if you draw two, you can search something on your turn and something on your opponent's turn. This card's crazy, and it's also what makes Princess even better, because Princess only searches spells and traps. Okay, well, she searches a spell or trap that searches a monster. So she really searches monsters. So get up out of my face. And the last card that Amazon, all right, the last card, yeah. The last card that Amazonas has that I really think gives them a solid chance is Onslaught. I don't think this is an amazing card. It is centered around the battle phase, but I do think if this deck gets support, it will still be like a grindy deck. And I do think this card over the course of like multiple turns is like kind of crazy. So it says once during the battle phase per turn, you can special summon an Amazonas from hand. Cool, just helps you extend from the hand, nice. And if you do, it gains 500. Secondly, after damage calculation, if your Amazonas monster battled an opponent's monster while this card is already face up in your spell and trap zone, you can banish that opponent's monster. So whether you win the battle or lose it, their monster gets banished nonetheless. It's almost like when you have Whiptail equipped to a Zodiac, that same kind of effect. And the last thing is, if this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you could target an Amazonas monster in grave and special summon it. So it's one of those cards that you activate, and if your opponent doesn't have non-destruction removal, then like you're gonna punish them just for removing this card anyway. So it's like annoying to work around, and they're gonna get punished if they have to remove it via destruction. So I really like this card. Maybe it's not a 3 of in the deck because it will be pretty searchable, but I think all things considered, it'll still be a playable card in the deck. I just want to see some real interruption for the deck, because like the searchability is there. They're also warriors, so Rhoda is a thing. That's another copy of a starter for you. You've got a lot of access to consistency in the deck. They just need to see some power play, some things that they can actually go into to actually assemble like some strong boards. That would definitely be welcome. So there we go. Those are our 5 archetypes. Obviously, scrolling back through, we've got Amazonas at number 1, Roids at number 2, Magnet Warriors at number 3, Battery Men at number 4, and Ninjas at number 5, of course, including the shout out, which is for Geargias as well. Just wanted to throw them in there. That way people recognize a little bit, but really, really cool. I'd love to see Konami just at some point in the next couple of years expand a little bit on these archetypes. They don't need a ton because that skeleton is there. They just need, you know, we see in these core sets, like multiple archetypes get 4 to 5 cards, 4 to 5 cards, 4 to 5 cards, right? If any of these archetypes ended up in there and they were the right kind of 4 to 5 cards, easily could be a legit, like, I don't want to say meta contender, but I would say something that can actually compete with meta level strategies. And that's all I'm looking for, something that could try to compete. So that is going to do it for me here today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, sorry if I rambled a little bit. I can't help it. I'm horrible at not rambling, but let me know in the comment section down below if you think any of these archetypes should be swapped for something else. If there's another archetype that you think has a solid core, but they're so garbage right now. That was my main focus. I wanted stuff that was like, we haven't seen be relevant in years. And I think all 5 of these really fit that bill. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more discussion videos like this one in the future. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.